Hello, everyone. You are listening to Those Other Girls with Mallory and Friends. I'm Mallory.
I'm Victoria.
Oh, I screwed up, didn't I?
Who is this random? Yes, and we're changing culture, and we are bringing back traditional values. This is Those Other Girls featuring a boy. Yes. I know everybody's excited to have Vic back, and they'll be even more excited when they figure out who this boy is. And this is going to be a really good episode. It's going to be a fun one. How are you guys doing?
Well, who's the boy real quick?
Oh, yeah, I guess we should talk about the boy. Who are you?
Who am I? So I'm Juan. I was on a few months ago, I think. And
yes.
I walked into the room to ask a random question. Wouldn't want to be anywhere else, though. This is one of my favorites.
So Juan is rooming with me and Sebastian at our new place in Raleigh.
Yeah, so have we spoken on a TCAP since you've moved to Raleigh?
Yeah, we have.
Okay,
yeah,
so then we have? Okay, cool. So yeah.
So we've been in Raleigh almost a month now, which reminds me we need to pay rent.
What every one of my former roommates has found out, that it's my roommates that see me the least of anyone else. I'm pretty sure they saw me more when we lived an hour apart from each other.
That is true.
Than a hallway across from each other. So
really,
it's like, hi, good morning, all right, heading out, and then it's like 10:30, 11 before I come back. Hey, good night, good to see you guys.
And he has other friends than just me and Sebastian. We're like, dude, what the heck? Like, it's us.
Since when did you get friends? That's funny.
I mean, Katie, pretty much his girlfriend.
Wait, never mind. Okay, cool. So you guys are you guys are liking living in Raleigh?
I mean, Juan briefly lived in Greensboro with us, but he's been living in Raleigh, 5 years now?
About 4 going on 4 to 5.
Oh, so you've lived in Raleigh for a while.
In Raleigh. I went to school at William Peace University.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't realize that was in Raleigh.
Yeah. So it's interesting because when I first moved here, I knew absolutely no one. In fact, my first week of college, I literally didn't know anyone. So for the first 3 days of living here, I didn't talk to anyone because there was no one for me to associate with.
That's such a boy thing. Aww.
I would go visit random landmarks and stuff around the city, but you take it by the horns and you get involved, and I've met incredible people and lifelong friends here, and so it's been fun, and I'm excited to see Vic and Sebastian go on this journey as well. It was a big decision, I think, for you guys to move, but I think it's gonna be one that you guys are gonna grow to appreciate and in time. And this is such a wonderful city, for not just for politics, but also the energy, the youth,
Okay, so you guys are selling Raleigh.
The reason why I haven't been on is I've gone out with friends the last couple Fridays, and we would never go out when we were in Greensboro.
I know. When the first time you told me you were going out, I was like, really? Since when? I was shooketh. Well, I'm glad though. I'm glad you're going out.
There was no places to go out in Greensboro, and last weekend we went to this really cool bar. Do you remember what it was? I told you it was something in Ward and something, but it's Watson Ward.
Yes.
And it's this underground 1920s speakeasy that's under a restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
There's a place like that in Charlotte. Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, so that's the thing about, and I guess this is a tangent, but when you talk about nightlife and things to do, Charlotte and Raleigh are really, really perfected that and kind of went through that renaissance. Greensboro and Winston-Salem are just starting to go through that. And you have to give credit to people like Marty Kotis, who have invested so much into places like Midtown and downtown with the street art.
In Greensboro.
In Greensboro with new breweries and other stuff popping up. But so Greensboro, I anticipate is going to have that in the next coming years.
If our city council gets their crap together, exactly. Is kind of the issue. But
your former city council.
The difference, I mean, like what? You lived with us for a month in Greensboro, and you'd come home at like 10:30. I was like, let's go out to eat. And we're like, dude, everything's closed. Yeah. Like, everything's closed by like 9:30, 10.
Yeah, and I was like, that's not the case in Raleigh. Like, if I could go right now and get some Chinese food if I wanted to after 10. That to me.
Yeah, same in Charlotte.
Well, like you and Sebastian.
Glad we're back.
Well, like you and Sebastian went to work out one evening. And, like, it was, like, midnight. I'm like, where are these fools? They were craving rice and vegetables and went to a Chinese restaurant that was still open at midnight.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah. So, what is a tip you would give any of the other girls who are moving to a new city?
Ooh. Well, I would definitely, like, if you can, recommend, like, a city where your friends are. Like, I have multiple best friends here that I've already seen. And, like, one of my best friends, she, like, grew up here, came back, has really settled down here. And she has this, like, whole list of, like, different restaurants that she's tried, that she likes, that she wants to try. And I will say in Raleigh, like, everybody wants to go try a new restaurant. Like, it's not like you go to your same place. It's very much like everyone's like, all right, like, it's like, okay, like, where do you recommend? And everyone has a different recommendation. Like, I've asked multiple people, it's like, okay, like, where do you recommend for Chinese food? Everybody has a different recommendation. Everyone's a different recommendation for, like, Mexican and Italian. Where to go get drinks. I just think it's just so much, like, diversity and, like, really good restaurants. But I mean, for me, I would say, like, if you can, go to a city where your friends are, because I think that's going to make a huge difference. I think that, I mean, for us,
community.
We had, like, really good friends in Greensboro, but they were a lot older than us and a lot different place in life than us. Mm-hmm. And, like, yeah, like, we'd go get dinner with them, but it's not like they want to go get drinks and stay out till past midnight. Mm-hmm. And so, I didn't have, like, any of, like, my close friends. Like, my best friend that I've had since 8th grade lives here with her significant other. My sorority sister, that's one of my best friends. That was in my wedding. She lives here. And it's just, like, having that community, I think, is, like, made, like, a big difference for us.
Mm. And I can give you the other side of the coin. For some,
yeah, I'm going to say, Juan, tell us.
You don't know anyone. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there, right? Big cities like this have a lot of young professional organizations, and different restaurants have like special events, trivia nights, stuff like that. Go out there and meet people. It's
church,
putting yourself out of your comfort zone a little bit, but honestly, that is part of the adventure, right? And through that, I mean, I kind of just hit the scene and started randomly popping up at events. Like, who's this kid? What's he doing? I'm just here to hang out, guys. How are y'all doing? And again, a lot of those people.
Okay, it's also a little different for guys than it is for girls, but keep going.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I would say, like, we did the same thing when we were in Greensboro. Granted, like, Sebastian knew people, but I didn't know anyone. Mm-hmm. And so just, like, getting involved, I mean, especially, like, getting involved with, like, the local Republican Party and the local, like, YR group. I mean, I would say that's probably what you did.
Your church.
When you moved here. It's just getting involved. Whatever your interests are, you can find those groups.
Yeah, find a good church. That's something
that too.
When I was in Virginia Beach, I one day I'm gonna stop talking about my time in Virginia Beach. One day I'm gonna say when I was in Charlotte, when I was in Virginia Beach, living my best life. That is one thing that made a huge difference, was getting a good community at my church, and then also too in my apartment complex, I made like 3 really good friends. There, two good friends. I'm saying 3, but that person didn't live there. He was just always there. But the point is, like, a good community and getting involved in a church too makes a huge difference.
Yeah, and you say something important about, like, apartment complex. I don't know if this is just the case in Raleigh, but there's like an effort or like a consistent effort from apartment complexes here in Raleigh to make
a community,
to make it a community.
Charlotte, same way,
like a pizza night or this, that, and the other. Here I lived in an apartment complex of townhomes, and they had stuff like that all the time, and I always appreciated it because I feel like meet your neighbors.
Yeah, but I feel like the difference is like the apartments we were at, and this is what I recommend too. Like when you're looking for a place, find a place with people your own age that are around. I think like the last 2 apartment complexes we were at, which we loved the staff, we loved where we lived, but the people around us were not our age. It was a lot of, honestly,
families,
divorced families, and with kids and like high school kids. And I mean, I don't think there's anyone our age that lived in our building at least. And like our complex, like you said, like didn't really like have anything special. But I would say too, and I think this is what we're realizing now, because like we're like renting a house in this beautiful neighborhood with a lot of families like our age, and I think that's like has made like a huge difference, because like we're seeing people that are in the same life as where we are, that are like young professionals, young married couples, young kids. And so just find like wherever you live, make sure it's like people your age that's living there, because I think that made a huge difference from where we're living in Greensboro to where we're living now in Raleigh.
I am so happy for you, because you even sound like you're like thriving.
Yeah, I will say
you sound like happier. Yeah, you sound like you're happier.
It was a very stressful moving situation. I will say, U-Haul told me the wrong size truck. So the truck was not big enough. And we had to make multiple trips back and forth to Greensboro. And it was just very like stressful, and just like getting everything set up, and we're 90% done. I think we need to put up like pictures is really like the last thing we need to do, but like that's like, I mean, that was the most stressful move I've ever dealt with. And I really like U-Haul lying about I just had a really bad experience with U-Haul, and between like that and then so like they changed the pickup location on us, but then didn't tell us. So we go there to pick it up, and they're like, it's not here. It's all the way 30-minute drive across town. And then they changed the drop-off location on us. And so,
oh wow,
like it was just like a very.
Make sure you leave a bad review.
It was just like a really bad experience, and honestly, we got ripped off by the movers too, which was very frustrating as well. But it was an expensive move, but I definitely think it was worth it. I think.
Yeah, it sounds like it was for the better.
Yeah. I think we're a lot happier. We have a lot more space. The dogs seem a lot happier. We actually have a kitchen to cook. Like, I feel like, and I mean, I don't know if you agree, but Sebastian and I were talking, it's like we feel like we have more time in the day here than what we did in Greensboro. And I don't really know how. Like, I feel like I'm able to get so much more stuff done. Like, we've incorporated.
You're happier. You're not as like sad. That's what it is. Like, I feel like you're just.
But it's like we're able like to incorporate like actually like going to the gym, which we weren't able to do that in Greensboro, and like incorporate like we're actually cooking, which is like, if you know us, we don't cook, and like we hardly go out to eat now, except like a couple times a week.
Like on the weekends, I'm sure.
Like we're actually like cooking and like eating the food we're buying, and really like focusing on like a lot of like our health stuff. Like, I don't know if I talked about this on the podcast, but like for Sebastian and I, like our kind of New Year's resolution was to like, this was like the year we focused on us, because like our first year of marriage was COVID and was dedicated to the campaign, and then we were planning on running again for 22, and that didn't pan out. So like 2021 was still kind of focused on campaigning. I mean, he was pretty much already campaigning. And so it's like the first 2 years of our marriage was kind of dedicated to him running for office. And it's like, okay, like this is, and like a lot of our decisions we made those first 2 years were based off of him running for office, which is what had to happen at that point. But now it's like, okay, the decisions we're making is going to be made for like our relationship and like our future. And that was kind of the decision to move to Raleigh was, okay, like this is what's going to be best for our marriage and our future for our family.
And just to, not to get into your business, right? But I
let's get into it. That's why we're here.
But I think that a move was necessary for that sort of reset to happen, right? Because you made an interesting point about having more time in the day, and I can kind of explain that in the fact that, like, I feel like in Greensboro, myself included, for the month that I was there, you're going at 110%, right? You've got to get to this meeting here, and you've got to get to this fundraiser, and then this, that, and the other, because you were still sort of in that campaign mode and having to.
And the obligation. We felt like even though he wasn't running anymore, it's like we still had to feel obligated to
be involved and pay your dues and stuff. Look, keeping up a political profile, just for yourself as an individual is hard work for a couple.
It is.
I can imagine, and so that's full-time work, and so I feel like that right now you guys are in a place where you're new to a city, you'll get involved in your time, but right now it's a healthy place where you guys can focus on yourself and focus on your health, and so you're getting done what you need to get done, not tacking on all of the crazy extra stuff that life throws at you when you're in politics.
Yeah, I felt like when we were in Greensboro, it's like, I mean, right when Sebastian moved there, he was working for Harvester, and so he was like immediately involved in politics. And then when I went to Greensboro after we got engaged, I was immediately in politics. So we've never had the opportunity in our relationship to just be like, okay, like, you know what, we're just going to take a step back from politics right now. Like, we're going to do like the minimum. We're not going to be like overly involved right now. Like, but like we get to kind of focus on like exploring our new city, seeing friends, kind of figuring out like new
but also just enjoying your marriage.
That too, yeah.
I don't think you've had the opportunity to do that with COVID and office running, and not that you guys aren't happy. Of course, y'all are somebody I look up to. But you guys get to relax for once and enjoy it, and so I'm glad to see you guys doing that out here.
Yeah, and I will say too, I mean, we've had arguments in the last month, don't get me wrong, but I think it's like, we've like really have learned, I feel like in this month, we've learned more about ourselves and our marriage than probably like the 2 years prior. Like, would you say that, like what you witnessed?
Yeah.
So.
I also think that's interesting, and I'm not saying that this is wrong, but I'm just saying this is something that people, if you are going to start your marriage in a campaign, or I think that's just something to be cognizant of too. So if anybody listening, if your spouse or you yourself going to run at the beginning of your marriage, these are just things to be cognizant of.
I mean, I hate to say it, but like, I mean, look at Madison Cawthorn's marriage, like him running, and like, I mean, they were running while before they even got engaged. And it was, I mean, I hate to say it, but it ended their marriage. And it's very difficult as a young couple to run for office when you're just starting out.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're happy and thriving, and sound like you're thriving too, Juan. And
well, we haven't even talked about
that's good.
Like, how's like work going? Because you're like finally done with school.
Yeah.
You have been
You're in the real world.
A full-time job.
Yeah. Oh my goodness! I just remember. So like the last time we spoke, I was in a completely different, different chapter.
It was that long ago?
I think it was like in November.
You weren't even living with.
Oh, if it was in November, then that was that. A lot has happened. I don't know how much you can share. Well, maybe not. Maybe don't. Maybe share. Don't share.
I'll share what.
Yeah.
But so I graduated in December of 2021. It was, and I'm sure that there's a lot of people out there that experienced the same thing that I did, that when we moved to online learning and Zoom University and stuff like that, I'm a very dynamic person that loves to be in the classroom, loves to have that.
Yeah.
It really affected me and really affected the way that I learned and my grades struggled and stuff like that. And so it was, I was scheduled to graduate in December 2021, but that really reflected on my grades, right? I had to
you're scheduled to graduate in May.
You
said December.
No, I was scheduled to graduate in December.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
You're fine. But that was solely based on grades. I came out with all A's, which was fantastic. But
praise God.
But that also came out of a lot of hard work and stress and this, that, and the other. And for 2 weeks, my school, I took like my last final, and my school was like, great, fantastic. And I'm like, y'all not going to let me know if I graduated or not? Or Eventually, I finally went down to the school, and the registrar didn't even tell me, like, congrats or anything. She was like, oh, you're good. That's how I got 4 years, and I haven't even gone by to pick up my diploma. That's how big.
Sounds about right.
Because
sounds about right.
Because literally 2 hours after I learned that I had graduated, 2 hours after I learned that I graduated, I got a call from the Mark Walker for U.S. Senate campaign, and they said, we'd love for you to come on as political director. And, I loved my job at the legislature. It was an incredibly rewarding job. I loved my time working for Representative Hardister and helping out people, particularly in the constituent services area, helping the little people with the problems of state government, right? Roads, missing accounts, Veterans Affairs, Department of Health and Human Services. It was very rewarding to just be a little bit of good in somebody's life. And
an actual civil servant.
Mm-hmm. And I felt very rewarded in that job. But, decisions had to be made. And after a lot of prayer and obviously the full support of Representative Hardister, it looked like, this was the time to make that transition for a number of reasons. One of them is because the fight is here and the fight is now, right? When we're talking about getting involved and doing all you can to save democracy and save North Carolina and everything that you're seeing on the national level, here you're presented with an opportunity to actually have a tangible impact in that. And so I couldn't let that get past. And secondly, look, I'm 22 years old. There's only one time in my life that I'm going to be able to do this at 110% like I am right now. When you're in the next chapter of life, like Vic and Sebastian are, when you're marriage and thinking about kids and thinking about that mortgage and stuff like that, it slows you down a little bit. And so I have an incredibly supportive group of friends, an incredibly supportive girlfriend who understands that, she a week or a couple of days may go by that we don't see each other or something, but she knows that we're out there working and focusing on our futures and hopefully a future that we may have together. And so that
she's great, by the way.
And so that's been great. But also on top of that is the person, and I don't want to use this to campaign or anything, but just knowing who Congressman Walker is as a human and how genuine he is, his spirit is. In the throes of the campaign life, it can get a little frustrating the day to day with the press and the opposition and everything else that's going on. But when you believe in such a person as I do in Congressman Walker, it's worth it. And you know that he's running for the right reasons, and you're playing a role in that, and hopefully in bettering and contributing to a more open and decent politics in North Carolina as well as in DC. So we're excited. We're trucking along, but my schedule is very hectic. Sometimes I'm in Raleigh, sometimes I'm in Greensboro.
Sometimes you're in Charlotte.
Yes, exactly. So I've actually become a frequent commuter of NC by train.
Oh, yes.
So I commute from Raleigh to Greensboro and sometimes to Charlotte via the train. Big plug-in for the train system in this state, by the way. It's actually fantastic and cheap.
Is it?
Yes.
Yeah. So
tell us about your train experience.
Yeah. So the thing is that with the gas prices the way that they are, it's ridiculous. And so back in the day, you could kind of afford to put $20 in your gas in the tank to drive from Greensboro to Raleigh, or for
it used to be a decent commute.
It used to be a decent commute. It's an hour. It's not, it wasn't that horrible. But now it's a guaranteed $35 to $45 in gas, or you can just take the train for a $22 round trip. Free parking at the train station. There's Wi-Fi, so you can work on there. It takes about an hour and 10 minutes as well, so the commute isn't that different. And I get to work, and so I kind of get the best of both worlds. I get to be on a schedule, and again, for $22 from Raleigh to Greensboro, you can't beat that, right? And hopefully we'll get to a point where we can afford, right?
Gas again.
Kind of got to get creative. And there's a meme out there that says, modern problems require modern solutions. I think I found one.
Okay, cool. I didn't know that about North Carolina's train system.
Can you explain real quick for our North Carolinians, where does the train go from? Like, who can ride the train? Mm-hmm. Like, what?
Yeah, I didn't even know we had a train in Charlotte.
There's two main lines. One is called the Piedmont, and the other one's called the Crescent. So the Piedmont is a bit of a commuter train. It runs from Raleigh to Greensboro, and then down to Charlotte several times a day.
So where in Charlotte? So say Mal wants to come up here for an event.
Mm-hmm.
Where in Charlotte?
Right, they're typically near their downtown. The Amtrak station in Charlotte is right outside of downtown.
Oh, is that the Amtrak station?
Yeah.
Oh, I know all about that. When I was living in New Jersey, sometimes I take the train in. I didn't know we had one that was within the state. I thought I knew we had one around the country. I didn't know we had one within the state.
So the train is operated by Amtrak, but they are state trains.
Oh,
they actually are painted in the North Carolina flag colors, and the coaches are actually named after state symbols, like the gray squirrel or the channel bass. It's very cute.
I love how much you love North Carolina. It's very admirable. I
just love how much he loves the train.
and you got me on a podcast talking about it, right?
And then what's the other
one?
Where's the other one go?
And the other one kind of goes the eastern way. It goes down Rocky Mount, Fayetteville, and then down to Charleston. So that one's a little bit less frequent, but so basically that 85 corridor, the major cities, Raleigh, Greensboro, Charlotte, you can hit them several times a day.
Wow, I might do that for a weekend. Yeah. It won't be in April because I'm booked every single weekend in April, but maybe in May.
Yeah.
I might just one Friday night just hop on a train. Wow.
I mean, I can't say anything but good things.
And it's not.
Wow.
No. Sometimes actually, I think people are starting to get the hang. I got on one, but only one. Last week. I was like, got a lot of people in here, which is cool.
$22 is not bad. Mm-hmm.
Can you get
That's not bad at all.
Yeah. So you can do multi-ride passes. I'm trying to advocate for a monthly pass, a fee where you can just get on and just show it.
A bus pass.
Mm-hmm. There's some of that in other states, so maybe North Carolina will bring that.
They have that in Jersey and New York.
Because that'd be cool as a commuter, because right now I've kind of got to order my ticket on the app
every single time. Yeah.
But still, it'd be great to have a pass.
That is okay. Wow. Well, you guys are, that's a young 30, flirty, and thriving, but that's not it. You guys aren't in your 30s, but you guys are 20s and twinkling. I
don't know. Our stories that one. What restaurant, if someone's coming to Raleigh, where should they go eat?
See, that's such a difficult question because when people ask me that, I'm always like, so what are you into, though? Because Raleigh...
Chinese, Asian, anything Asian.
So much stuff that you have to break it down into categories, right? If you want Mexican food, you've got San Marcos, you've got Cantina 18 in Cameron Village, you've got Torero's, which is fantastic.
They have $3 margaritas on Mondays.
Mm-hmm. There's a Chewy in Morrisville, which is Tex-Mex, but it's also delicious.
You guys have a place called Morrisville?
Yes. So yours is MOOR. Mm-hmm. Ours is MORR.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
And if you want Asian food, you've got Combo Ramen downtown.
I went there last week. It's so good.
You've got Rock and Roll Sushi, which is like this
I want to go
of sushi that keeps coming.
So if you've never, So if you, and it's like what, $18?
Yeah.
So if you've never had sushi and you want to try it, this is where you should do it at. Is like Rock and Roll Sushi. If you end up not liking it, you can order unlimited hibachi.
Yeah. And it's all included in your ticket. It's like $18, $20 if you want a soda. And so there's like an array of local, small, family-owned Chinese restaurants. Each one has a character of its own. No one is like the other. So you've got these small gems. So yeah, you've got all of this stuff. Indian food. You've got Royal India, Gaurani Express by NC State, Salt and Vinegar, I think it's called, down in Cary. It's all fantastic. It's so this is the place to explore food. And I went to a French restaurant the other day. They gave me a snail. What's it called? Escargot.
There's like a Cajun restaurant that my friend's recommending.
Something in North Hills. I can't remember the name.
Okay, it's downtown. It's like Saint something. I always forget the name that she's like recommending. Where would you go get drinks?
Where would I go get drinks? So there are a number of places that I think are fantastic. One of them is brand new. It's called the Willard, which is on top of a hotel, high-rise hotel here.
So if you guys go to my Instagram, I think this is my current Instagram picture, or I had posted it.
No, it's on That Political.
Yes, it's my Instagram picture of That Political Life, and it's so beautiful.
It's a rooftop bar. You can't beat views of the city.
Yep. Drink prices are regular. They're not overpriced.
Yeah, just down.
Oh wait, it's not your profile picture anymore for That Political Life.
Yeah, it is. Unless someone changed.
Now I'm looking at That Political Life. It's your
blog. That's right. I did change it.
Yeah. LOL. You say if someone changed it, it was you.
But if you go to
it was you.
Political Life, like my bio, it's that pic.
It's a very pretty picture.
Down the street is Sea Grace, which is a jazz bar. They have live music every night starting at 7:30. Fantastic staff. And that's just two that you can mention. There's stuff all over the city.
And I will be adding to my section on That Political Life called Traveling the Capitals, all the finds that we find in Raleigh. All our recommendations.
If anyone is listening, it sounds like we should have, if anyone is listening, for those of you who are listening, for those of you who are listening, it sounds like we should have a meetup in Raleigh.
Pop-up.
That's what I'm hearing.
A lot of, really cool political people. We would have Caroline and her new baby come when the baby.
Okay, that Caroline. Okay. Yeah.
I think
I was thinking of your other friend Caroline, and I was like,
too. She lives in Raleigh.
Yeah. We could do a pop-up and just go and do fun, do a restaurant, a bar, and something.
Did you know that?
I did not know that. Okay.
We did a trolley pub, and it's where you pedal. It's this whole. I don't know how to describe it. How would you describe it?
Yeah. It's kind of like this enlarged bike.
Yeah,
with a bar in the middle.
Yeah.
And you pedal while you drink. It's supposed to keep you sober longer. I don't know.
No, that wasn't.
That's interesting.
But no, and then it's you go to different bars. So we went to a really cool 90s dance club, and the Raleigh Times is a really cool bar too. We went one other place I can't remember. But
it just sounds like we should definitely all figure out how we can do a Raleigh Those Other Girls meetup weekend. I think that'd be fun. Yeah. Wow. I feel like we should start getting into the topics. We've been going.
You said 5 minutes. It's 30.
Yeah. It's been 30. Well, no. Yeah, well, a little bit more than half, or a little bit less than half. But anyway, because we talked for a while, but that's okay because this is, I guess, this is part of the episode, talking about Raleigh, talking about our lives. I'll do the first part of it, and then until the because I'll do the thing that we said we were going to. Okay, cool. So, everybody, you guys all ready? Everybody have their cup for tea?
I'm trying to be healthier, so I've got my water.
Okay, that's fine, I guess. Here we go. Cheers. Clink.
Cheers. We need a teacup sound. How can we do that?
I know. I can. Oh, I looked. They don't have one. Let me just make sure it's not in here. Yeah, they have nothing for tea, but we'll try to figure. Maybe we can add one. Okay, so first we want to talk about the slap. The slap heard around the world. I wasn't sure if we would talk about, like, I posted on the Instagram page. I was like, guys, tell me your opinion. I'm not sure if it's still going to be relevant. Oh my God, it's still relevant. It's probably relevant for another 2 more weeks. It's still relevant. One thing is, I'm really glad it wasn't, like, a woman and a guy, or, like, people of 2 races, because then it would be, I mean, the think pieces would be crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, so thanks, guys. Thanks, everybody. Okay, so I know I'm so funny, guys. Everybody stop laughing. Okay, so Juan, you wanted to talk about it. What was your opinion? What was your initial thought?
I think it's ironic because you literally had watched Bad Boys that morning.
No, seriously, I'm such a huge Will Smith fan, by the way.
Are you really?
Yeah, and Bad Boys 2, one of my favorite movies.
Never seen it.
I was watching it earlier that day. I had no intention of watching the Oscars. I have not watched them for a number of years. I don't think anyone was.
I didn't really. Yeah.
I think it had like the second lowest rating ever, or something. Like that. And
it was the second. Yeah.
I don't even just watch them or not watch them for political reasons. I just wasn't interested. I mean, I have other things to do on my Sunday night, and so.
And it's never the things that win. I feel like are never things that people have actually seen. Like I don't think I've ever seen.
Yes, but like for me, it's like I just want to know who won.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah, me too. I'm just curious.
These crazy, like abstract, artsy stuff that wins, and it's like, well, what about Spider-Man: No Way Home, which was the biggest movie of the year?
See, the Oscars is it's the biggest example of this could have been an email. Okay. Just give me a list. Okay, cool. That person won. Shout out to Ariana, who won Best Supporting Actress. She's a North Carolina native, and
yes, from the West Side Story.
From West Side Story.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Theaters, and I think we're gonna talk about that later. But so I had no intention of watching or even caring about it until my girlfriend texted me. She's like, Will Smith just knocked the crap out of Chris Rock, and I'm like, no. And I go to Twitter because the Twitter is the decider of all, right? And
that's where you find out what's actually going on, and then a month later it'll be on Facebook.
And look, there's been a lot of stuff said online that I'm not going to repeat on whether Will Smith was correct or wasn't correct. There's.
Oh, that's what this podcast is about. Tell us if it was correct.
Well, no. There's 2 ways to see it, I think, and I could argue both ways. But I just want to highlight Chris Rock's professionalism to not take to not take the low road. That man took it like a champ, kept the show going, and for someone who has been on stage and been in theater. Stuff happens, hecklers or something goes awry, and in order to keep your cool and keep the show going and stay focused is a lot more professional and a lot more, to me, of an accomplishment than winning
an Oscar.
That, frankly, because. Going and I think half of it was shock, right?
That's what I was gonna say. Like he was probably shocked. Like what the heck?
Somebody comes and just slaps me across the face. That didn't happen. That didn't happen.
I know.
I'm good, and then process it backstage. But I think that he knew he had a job, and somebody took it too far, but he kept it going, and I think in all of this, his professionalism was lost in all of this. Doesn't talk about as much as it should be. But yeah, I'll let you guys.
Well, did you see that even like Jada Smith was like laughing at the joke before? Like, it came out on Thursday that she was laughing at the joke.
I thought she was laughing at Will hitting him.
That's what I thought. She was laughing at the joke, gave him a look, and then was laughing at Will hitting him. I'm still convinced it's a publicity stunt, because if it wasn't for the slap, it would be the lowest ratings of all time.
Yeah.
And I'm still convinced it was a publicity stunt.
Yeah, I don't think that at all. I do want to say this really quick about laughing and then not laughing. Have you not ever been in a situation where like someone kind of is making fun of you and then you're like, wait a second, like I don't think that means anything. Okay. Her laughing first or even him laughing first, because I've been in situations where I've been uncomfortable, like wait, did you just call me an idiot type of thing. So like that I don't think was like people are using that as an example. I mean we've all been in situations like that. Yeah. Number two, I don't think it was fake because I think that Chris Rock's reaction was incredibly, like maybe Will said he wanted to do something beforehand, but I don't think Chris Rock or the Academy or the Oscars people were in on it because to me, Chris Rock looked genuinely shocked, especially like the slap. And then especially like when Will started screaming, because everybody, so I listened to this guy's podcast that was there. He's an influencer, and he was saying like, everybody thought it was fake. Everybody thought it was part of the show. Like, oh, okay, that's a weird thing to do for the show. And then Will started screaming. I was like, oh, wait a second, this isn't. Oh, he's really mad. And I feel like that is kind of how it was. And that's kind of like I woke up to people sending me the slap. I was asleep because, I go to bed as early as possible. Mm-hmm. And then I woke up and I had a bunch of like, did you see? And I'm like, okay, what the heck is happening? I didn't even hear the joke until like that night because nobody was talking about even the joke. So I was like, what is this joke that was so bad? So my initial thought was, oh my God, good for him standing up for his girl. And then I was like, that's really inappropriate. Like you just assaulted someone on stage. Like you should have had better, better self-control.
I told Victoria this. My initial thing is like, look, obviously, when you're at the Oscars, it's sort of like a
free for all.
Right? You crack jokes at the expense of an audience. You got to come into those things expecting that it's going to happen. You're not going to like everything we joke about you. And if you can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen, right?
Right, exactly.
It's just the example that was given to the children of America that night. It's like, oh, I don't like something, so I'm just going to resort to violence.
Yeah, and I was listening to a podcast, Bobby Bones Show, and Bobby Bones was saying, he's like, the thing that Will should have done was like, gone up, taken the mic away from Chris and said, this is why this joke is inappropriate. She's dealing with this disease. She's struggling because she's dealing with this disease. This is why you shouldn't joke about this.
Yeah, hey man, this wasn't cool and let me tell you why.
Yeah.
I agree. That would have been more appropriate.
Kind of how you address it and stuff. And look, I get bits of passion and this, that, and the other, but you gotta be the bigger person, and that wasn't the lesson that was displayed there, and it's really it really sucks to see that again. I'm a huge Will Smith fan,
but I think he's going through something else. Like there's
he had for him to snap like that.
Saying like, I think there's something else going on here.
Absolutely, for him to snap like that.
On the Bobby Bones Show podcast, I think it was like Thursday's episode, they were talking to a comedian, and he's like, the issue with this slap is it's gonna affect comedy from now on. So like I was, and this is why it's lasted this long, is because it's like, this is gonna redefine how we can do comedy.
But comedy has been going, particularly stand-up, right, has been going through this metamorphosis the last
being politically correct.
What now? What can you joke about? What is appropriate to say? Because I mean, you go back and look at some of the brilliant comics and their comedy specials in like the 1990s. George Lopez, Carlos Mencia, Freddie Soto, Dave
Chappelle.
I mean, Bill Cosby pre-issues.
Steve Harvey.
Yeah.
You know, these pioneers of comedy. These are
Eddie Murphy. Oh my gosh, Bernie Mac.
Those specials are canceled.
Yep.
They
cannot
show them. You know,
Bernie Mac.
No. Even you can't even show a Cat Williams special from 2012. Like,
heck, The Office, like they have episodes pulled, and it's like, I don't know who was saying it, but like someone from the cast of The Office was like, "You can't have The Office today. That would never."
No, Steve Carell said The Office wouldn't fly today, and he's absolutely right. I mean, and so. What is okay to joke about? And I think that comics now are really struggling with that. And part of, there's this internal fight that I was hearing Joe Rogan and another comic, Bobby Lee, talk about it. And it's like, part of us wants to fight back and be like, no, like this is what comedy is. It's allowing ourselves to laugh at each other and our shortcomings, and then be like, but man, at the end of the day,
but
we're
learn
still
from each other.
Sisters. Learn from it, and we're brothers and sisters. We can poke fun, and that's why we can. And then this more sort of like Amy Schumer, Sarah Silverman-esque type, where it's like, no, everything has to be super woke, and if you're going to laugh at someone, you better be laughing at the Republicans, because they're the only people that
can be made fun of.
Yeah. Well, that's what's so hard. So I feel like 4 things are true in this situation. So, but first I want to say this. So, like, alopecia, am I saying it right? Alopecia?
No idea. But the disease Jada Pinkett has. And the thing is, like, Chris, like, I didn't know she had it. I'm like,
I didn't know. I don't think Chris Rock knew.
So Chris Rock said, he's like, I didn't know she had it. And I'm like, I don't understand how people not know she had it, because she talks about it so much.
Like, I had no idea.
People talk on it, and like,
I don't care about the red tape.
From Massachusetts, that's part of like the woke squad. Ariana Presley, is that her name?
No idea.
It's the African American woman from Massachusetts that's part of the AOC squad. She has it too.
Oh, I didn't know that either. Well, okay, so here's the thing. Like, the hair for women in general is like a touchy subject. If you add hair culturally for Black women, it's an even more touchier subject. So it's like, I don't know. I think I've heard 1,000 people's opinions on this. I don't remember who it was, but someone was saying like, well, if you're at a comedy show and you're heckling someone in the audience, you can heckle their weight. That's like something that's like easy picking, stuff like that. But then it's like, do you heckle people like alopecia is an autoimmune disease? You can't really help that. There's like, do you heckle that? But it's also like, you don't know. Like, she really could just be, because there's people who shave their head all the time. So like, you don't know. So it's like, do you go, so should I, every time I go to a comic, every time I go see stand-up, should I be prepared? Because I'm fat. Should I be prepared for the person who's going to speak to make a joke about being fat? It was just such a hard place. I'm not saying that, like, you can't make jokes.
I'm glad that we're unpackaging both sides of this, because I think both sides are very valid. And that's also why I think that this has stayed in the narrative, or the story has ran for as long as it has. We're almost at a week since it.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that we're looking at both sides, because we just got done unpackaging everything that's wrong with the wokeism in comedy right now, and that's a valid point, and we can make that point every day. But also, it's the fact that there are some things that do cross the line. There is a line somewhere in comedy, and I think health issues are a part of that. Now,
I agree.
Now, here's the thing: I want to know, and I don't know if this question has been actually asked. Did Chris Rock actually write that joke, or was it one of the Oscar writers that wrote that joke? Because
good point.
I go back to Pete Davidson when he made the joke about Dan Crenshaw. When he said, "I genuinely didn't know Dan Crenshaw lost his eye in a war," I believe him. Like, this guy's got his own world going on. He's not involved in politics or whatever. He was just given a script, and then like, he says 30 seconds before somebody decided to do research and figured out that and I couldn't change my joke at that point. I was up for the weekend review. So you can see that beginning. It's difficult, and I think this has prevailed because it's so complicated. It is much more than just about the slap. It is about the reasoning, the motivation, and I just think that maybe in a professional setting, because the Oscars is all a show, somebody should have told them, hey, listen, this joke's about to be said. Is it cool? Oh, yeah, that's hilarious. That's funny. Or, no, please don't joke about that. And actually, you're going to joke about my wife's hair. She's actually got this disease, bro. And I don't think that would go off well. That and the other. I think that there were some professional bounds that were not addressed there. So it's complicated. It's complicated.
Yeah. And even if it was the writers who wrote it, why didn't they do the research? But I want to say, and I think Chris Rock wrote it. I think
he did too.
He said he wasn't.
I don't know, but I think he did.
Briefly right before. He wasn't that prepared for it.
And the thing is also too, I want to say this. I not laugh, but I do when people say it wasn't the joke could have been a lot worse. Just a G.I. Jane. I didn't think it was funny either.
Honestly, I thought it was inappropriate.
I'm not an Amy Schumer fan. I think she's funny when people write for her, but I will say when she came back and was like, did something happen? It feels kind of weird. I thought that was funny. And I don't usually laugh at her, or I'm sorry, I don't usually laugh with her. I'm usually laughing at her. But that was funny. For the most part, though, it's just none of that stuff was really funny to me. And I'm not going to sit here and say that I don't think people should be making jokes about stuff, because I find Dave Chappelle hilarious. All of his quote-unquote offensive stuff, hilarious. I laugh, crack up, especially as someone who's Black, who understands, some of the cultural things that he says. So I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, the hair, I get why she was so upset and offended about the hair thing, and I get why it was a big deal. I don't think the slap was appropriate. And I think you should be able to make jokes and laugh. I am curious, where is the line? Because when people were talking about it, I am thinking, I'm should I even ever go to a stand-up? Because to be honest, I don't want my fatness made fun of. But that's what they do. If you're fat in the audience, they're going to heckle you, because that's the comedy. So it's but does that mean I can never enjoy stand-up?
There's another thing that's complicated. This is the fact that, and this whole mentality that you have to be either or, right? You have to be either
right
camp or completely in Will Smith's camp. And I think what we've emphasized here is it's normalize saying that it's okay to say that Will Smith overreacted, but that Chris Rock crossed the line.
Yep.
Yes. And that's what I was going to say. So this is how I see it. There's 4 things. Will Smith overreacted. It's good that he stood up for his wife. Chris Rock told a joke that I'm sure somebody somewhere thought was funny, but it was inappropriate. I just think that's just where it is. I think that's just the truth of the matter. Does anybody have anything else they want to add on this?
No, I think we're ready to go to the next story.
Okay. So the next thing, really quick, because we're running out of time. I want to do this because I had you guys do this on Instagram. All right, I'm going to list out 4 movies. You guys tell me which one do you think was the best one this year. So on our Instagram, I said we're going to do our own fake Oscars next year. What I think we should do is take it very seriously. We should start thinking of movies that are out now, write them down, dress up, go to someone's house, and open up an envelope and be this is, and we can do a Patreon, make it a special thing. I'm being dead serious. I think we should do that. But anyway, this year, did this on the fly. I'm going to name 4 movies. You tell me which ones you think was the best to you. Okay, so you guys voted and you said Spider-Man, No Way From Home. You said Free Guy. And then you tied between West Side Story and Shang-Chi. Out of the 4 of those, which do you think was the best?
I haven't seen any of them.
Of course you haven't, Victoria! Oh my goodness.
Oh my God, I haven't seen any of them because movies are just too long, and I don't have time for movies. Like, I don't even have time to watch a full TV show, so I just watch Friends. What have you seen?
That stresses me out.
So
Juan
went to see West Side Story in theaters.
Did you?
Oh yes, you have a good take on this.
I did, mainly because so my girlfriend knows that I'm a theater buff. That I love. So she tries to incorporate that whenever I can. I do appreciate that of her. And so she's like, "Hey, West Side Story." I didn't even know that they were remaking West Side Story. And she said, "Let's go see it." So we made a whole date out of it. And I mean, it was okay.
Okay, so not West Side Story. All right, so we're taking West Side Story out.
Let me unpackage.
He has an interesting take, like being like you're.
Oh yeah,
and kind of like really interesting take when I asked him about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, look, don't get me. So the performances were fantastic. For Ariana and the main character who played Maria, Rachel, yes, Rachel. They did fantastic. The male lead, not so much.
Really, you don't like Ansel Essenworth?
Yeah.
He does DJing in Raleigh sometimes, by the way.
I go see him, but he just came across as kind of clunky and awkward, and I think
really he's so cute.
Shot, and the numbers were well rehearsed and well executed, but him just as an exception, I did not buy it. And that was
really
that there were some issues with him backstage and stuff like that from previous.
There were some issues.
Some what was it?
Homie's very grabby, I hear.
Yeah, he had some.
No, don't tell me that.
Blanket on the name.
I don't want to hear that. Ansel
against him.
Mm-hmm.
Ansel
But it was like I don't think it was at this movie. I think it was like years prior.
I'm not sure.
Sure.
I read it.
Maybe he's grown.
A couple months since I saw it, and haven't gotten since. But that my girlfriend told me that I'm not sure is true or not. I told her, "Are you keeping up with this?" Because I'm bilingual, right?
Okay.
And so I understand it, speak it, write it, Spanish and English. A lot of that movie was in Spanish. That originally,
really,
a lot of it, and they did not offer subtitles in English or anything. When Maria would
really,
she just started speaking Spanish, and so I understood it. I got it, but I'm like, but like a significant, like maybe 2/3 of this movie, maybe a little bit less than half of this movie was completely in Spanish, and so I at one point I leaned into my girlfriend who doesn't speak Spanish. I'm like, are you understanding what's going on here? Because there's a lot of Spanish in this, and so she's like, oh, well, this was actually made for the Hispanic population. I'm like, we're not watching this.
That's hilarious.
Just, because, West Side Story, I am to understand, I'm not an expert on it, was written in the 1950s, right? Or so. It was one of the classics. One of the classics.
Yeah, it's older.
Look, there were white people that wrote roles for colored characters and
Hispanic characters.
Yeah, and you can tell, right? So I don't know if this. So while it is a beautiful story, I think it is a fantastic production. I don't think it would really resonate with Hispanic people, right?
That's hilarious.
Why it would just go ahead and make it a little less than half completely in Spanish and targeted to them. Maybe it's why it flopped because the white people who love it can't understand it, and
it's not part of the Hispanic
culture. And the Hispanic people who can't understand it aren't going to go watch it because they don't care about it. So
wow, that I did not know that. That's interesting. I mean, that's part of being out of touch.
What was the movie that the Hamilton guy made them
In the Heights?
In the Heights.
Focused musical that the Hispanic culture loved.
And because there were references in there to stuff that I grew up with and that I identify with, and actually I think you and I talked about it, that I loved it. I loved it. The movie adaptation caught a lot of hate. I thought it was brilliant. It was fantastic. I cried through the entire thing. Vic was like,
get into it. I watched 30 minutes. I just could not get into it.
And I understood that, though, because, no, of course not, because there's references and there's stuff that I grew up with and I cherish, and I'm like, that's awesome. That's cool that you did it, and that's cool. No, it's an experience, right, to learn more about cultures and an exploration of really what it's like to dive into Hispanic culture. But I understand if you weren't as passionate about it as I was, because I love the Mark Anthony, who's a fantastic, one of my favorite singer artists.
Love Mark Anthony.
He had a cameo. But when he came on screen, I was ecstatic. I was like, "Oh my God, that's Mark Anthony!" Oh, and stuff like that. Yeah, but that was cool to me. Mm-hmm. There people, Caucasian folks that watched it, saw Mark Anthony, didn't have no idea who he was.
Is that the guy who was with J-Lo?
Yeah, my body don't lie. Let it rain over me.
So
that's where I know.
That was so I think West Side Story was missed for that.
Okay. So you want to keep it in the running then? You think it's a top movie?
Okay, so go through it. So it was Spider-Man, Free Guy, Shang-Chi, and West Side Story. Which one would you go with?
Oh, West Side.
Okay.
West Side, and a close second would be No Way Home.
Did you see it?
I'm frantically texting my brother. He's actually the movie guru in the family. He loves all things movies, and he, so that's what he wants.
No Way Home for me. No, without a doubt. I don't even understand how these are even on the option. No Way Home. Fantastic movie. Tons of emotion. So good. Cannot wait for the Doctor Strange one. We're for Team Wanda, women's rights and their wrongs. I love it. Cannot wait. You want to just guess at one, Vic?
I would just assume Spider-Man No Way Home. It was like the biggest movie of the year. Yeah. And it got snubbed at the Oscars.
Has
one movie ever been nominated at the Oscars? I don't think so.
No, because there's not a category. Also, too, I found out there's not a category for comedy either.
At the Oscars. Why wouldn't it be like No Way Home, like Tom Holland be considered for like Actor of the Year because of it?
I think because there's not I think it has to be, someone would have to be within those categories. And they have the categories, and I think they pick the Actor of the Year from those categories.
I didn't know that. It makes sense. So suck.
Yeah, because they don't have comedy, and they don't have one for superheroes.
Yeah.
So for the actor, I got the most were Andrew Garfield for Tick Tick Boom. I did not see that. I kind of want to see that though.
Oh my God, I watched it.
Did you like it?
Incredible. He was incredible, and it's like, this is Andrew Garfield. This is Spider-Man. Like, it was just like,
I need to see it.
He played, so essentially it's the autobiography of the guy who wrote Rent. And he wrote his story. That's what Tick Tick Boom is the musical of his life. And it's just beautiful how, like, it just incorporated all the music and, like, his story through. And, like, he died fairly young. I think he had, like, a heart condition, but it was just so beautifully because he himself wasn't gay, but because he was involved in theater in the 90s, he had like a lot of gay friends. And this was during like the peak of the AIDS pandemic. And it was just like, so like, because like, I don't think like we really, like, besides like what Philadelphia, there's really hasn't been a movie discussing like the 90s AIDS pandemic that our generation has really watched. And it was just so eye-opening for me to see it.
Oh, so there was a lot about that?
Yeah, and it was just, like, beautifully done up. Like, his best friend gets, like, AIDS. And, like, just, like, kind of, like, how that led him to, like, writing, like, all the failures he had writing scripts. And he's made one of the biggest Broadway shows of all time. And then died much after making it.
Oh, wow. Okay, maybe I need to see it. I mean, clearly...
So beautiful.
Clearly, people, like, he got the most in the actors.
I keep telling you to watch it. I watched it on a plane, like traveling.
Okay. And the actress, someone said Kamala Harris, but we won't say her because we're being honest. The other person is Kristen Stewart for Spencer, and Vic saw that.
And I don't know why people hated it. I thought it was beautifully done. Granted, like, I love royals. I love royal histories. I love historical fiction books about royals and historical movies about royals. But Kristen Stewart, like, how they did her hair, makeup, her voice, like, she was Princess Diana. Like, she looked exactly like Princess Diana. It's like, this is Bella from Twilight. Like, she had this whole British accent, and she talked like Princess Diana with, like, that soft voice, and it's just, like, really kind of, like, showing, like, her struggles, like, with the royal family and with, like, disordered eating, and it was just, I thought it was beautifully done. I thought, like, I don't understand why people hated on it. Like, that was, like, one of the movies, like, I was most excited for this year, and for me...
I'm pretty sure, didn't they get a Razzie? I think it got, because I know House of Gucci got a Razzie, which I was shocked.
Have you seen
with Lady Gaga?
I was, like, really...
No, I haven't seen it yet.
But I've also heard it was kind of a flop.
I heard it was a flop, but that's hard for me to believe because Lady Gaga, I do not recommend the show. Before I decided to be more cautious about what I watched, yes. I will say this, I fast forwarded a lot, especially that season, her first season, because it was like literally just, it was just too much, but I like thrillers, and that's what I was going in for. But anyway, Lady Gaga acted her butt off in that. I thought she was the best.
And it's
fantastic.
Did you ever?
Oh, and I hear she was so great. I need to see that. I have not seen that.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
It's like
everybody says I'd love it.
I mean, I guess because it's just like all the hair and makeup. You're like, this is Lady Gaga. Like,
yeah,
that was like the genius behind her doing all the hair and makeup and like the extreme stuff. Because like, if she did like in movies, you're like, okay, like this is just another actress.
Hold on, I have a funny story about Star is Born. Here's how I knew me and a girl that I was seeing at the time probably weren't the best fit for each other. We went to see A Star is Born, and I don't remember what the line is exactly. Bradley Cooper said something sweet to Lady Gaga's character, and I was like, "Oh, that's really sweet." And right beside me, she's like, ugh! And I'm like, "We're on different planes here."
That's funny. That's funny. Well, that is the short version of Those Other Girls 2022 Oscars. Please look forward to us next year as we will do an Oscars. I also think we should do a Grammys, and why not do a VMAs? Don't you?
Let's do the one for the TV shows. Emmys.
Oh, we definitely should do TV shows. Yep. Oh my God. When is that? We should do a serious one this year. Oh, well, next year we'll do that. I admit I like music award shows. Like, I will watch the VMAs.
We should make her watch the CMAs.
Oh.
Make her watch the country.
Is Carrie Underwood gonna sing? Because that's my girl. Oh, did she? Oh, I'll have to listen to it.
Take a song, her band, Eat to Breathe, and that was the peak of her career. I'm sorry.
You know, she came out with a gospel album.
Yes, I listened to it. I love it. Oh my goodness. It's actually really good. It's really good worship music. If you just need something, it's so good. Speaking of really good worship music, t-shirts can also be really good that have worship words on them. And our today's sponsor, this episode is brought to you by Living in the Light Co. You should listen to the episode we did with the creator Brooke, and she created this brand in 2019, and the goal is just to have really cute t-shirts and clothes that have positive Christian sayings. When you work with her, you know that you are going to get even like her scrunchie, stuff like that. You're going to know you're helping a family, and they do not cave to cancel culture. Use our code THOSEGIRLS to get 10% off on your purchase.
Awesome. So our next story is Biden signs legislation named for Emmett Till, making lynching a federal hate crime. President Biden has signed. We just went over that. I really don't think we need to go into more detail. Okay, here we go. Under the bill, An offense can be persecuted as a lynching when the offender conspires to commit a hate crime that results in someone's death or serious bodily injury under the bill. This includes kidnapping and aggravated sexual abuse, or an attempt to kidnap, abuse, or kill. A perpetrator can be sentenced to up to 30 years in prison for lynching alone, raising the maximum sentence by 20 years from previous versions of this legislation. I had no idea this was happening. I'm surprised New York Times didn't even report on it.
So, really? Okay.
Did you know this was happening?
So yeah. I heard that this was something that had been proposed a long time ago. I
have tons of thoughts.
I don't know. Does stuff ever get passed in DC ever? Frankly, other than 1 or 2 bills a year.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they do. But look, when you come from the state legislature, you worked there for 3.5 years, and you're passing hundreds and hundreds of bills. You see what DC's passing 2 or 3 bills a month, and it's not impressive. So I don't pay a lot of attention. But I had heard about this, but I didn't know where it was in the process.
Mal, do you want to give your thoughts? Because you said thoughts, and I know we're running long. So.
Yes. Yeah. So I have quick thoughts, and I want to say this. And when I heard this, I immediately was like, we have to talk about this because I have a lot of things to say. And I think my voice as an African-American, I need to stop that. As a Black woman matters in this topic. I think this is something that whenever people listening want to talk to your friends about this, I think you can go back and say, well, she's Black, whatever. Okay. So first of all, I think I want to first say this isn't a bad thing. It's not that's what's so hard about some of the things that the left kind of pushes is that the words sound really good. It's not necessarily a bad thing that there's an anti-lynching law. But I think it's a really good example of pandering of performativism. Because the reality is this didn't do anything. Lynching is already against the law. I looked up a couple of things. I really didn't want to talk about this. So I looked up a couple of things. So lynching, in the bill, it says lynching, whoever conspires to commit any offense under paragraph 1, 2, 3, if death or serious bodily injury results, he will be imprisoned for not more than 30 years. Right? Okay. So if you lynch someone, you have murdered them, correct? Right? We can all agree with that. In North Carolina, the first degree...
If they lived.
I guess if they lived. Okay, that's attempted murder. Okay, fair. Murder. Well, let's just say if you have lynched someone, they have passed away. Okay. Let's just say for this instance. So this is what first degree murder is defined as murder that is premeditated, willful, or deliberate. Would you say that lynching someone is probably premeditated, it's definitely willful, and it's definitely deliberate, correct?
Sure.
Okay. Now, here's what I think is interesting. First-degree murder already is punishable by life in prison or a death penalty, right? So if lynching is first-degree murder, then what is this 30 years business?
Do you think it's just shouldn't they 30 years on
No, I think it's a different
sentences and it's another charge you're adding on.
Well, then once again, performative. It's useless. I don't know why they have it. I just think it's another category in the code, in the in law code, which is I just think that's once again, I think this is an example of performative. Lynching someone is first degree murder. There's already an automatic, in North Carolina specifically, there's an automatic life in prison. Now that it's going to be under a different code, it's going to be just 30 years minimum. Which, I mean, if you're 40, it's 30 years is life in prison. But my whole point is it just feels so performative, just something that he's trying to do it's an election year. I don't know, when I first heard this, I think the reaction was supposed to be, oh, right, that's great. But it's also when was the last, this is so terrible and I don't mean it in this way, but when was the last lynching? That's the other thing too. When was the last lynching? The 60s? So it just feels like it's just something that they're doing. And I'm sure the people, Emmett Till's family is very excited and happy that especially because his name is on it, and the story of Emmett Till should absolutely be told. I'm kind of shocked that a lot of people still don't know who he is. Long story short, he is a kid. He was 14 years old, and he whistled at a white woman, and during that time, allegedly, well, that's the other thing too. He allegedly whistled at a white woman, and her siblings, or male siblings, grabbed him and lynched him. Now, years later,
those pictures those people don't go look at those pictures, but if you feel so compelled, what they did to that kid was
awful.
I thought it was so powerful what his mom did. We're having an open casket so people can see what they did to my child.
And what's so evil is on the deathbed, the woman admitted that it wasn't him.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, on the deathbed. Yep, she admitted that Till never touched, threatened, or harassed her. Yep.
He was just.
Yep. Yep. I had the link. Yeah.
So here's the thing. So you talk about, and this is a totally legitimate political philosophy to have. One that I agree with. By the way, that you shouldn't have redundancy in the statutes, right? If there's something,
it's just so useless. I hate that.
Yeah. What I think this law did, and again, I'm only doing this from research I did a long time ago, is that right now lynching is a state crime. Right, so it's enforced by the state courts, the General Court of Justice here in North Carolina. What this law would do would turn it to the federal court system, and so you would go to federal prison, not state prison, if you were convicted for lynching. It would be handled by the federal court system.
Let me see. I wonder if that.
Now I don't know if that's the only difference that it makes, but I think that's one of the more notable ones.
And I would imagine it would be they would have multiple charges against them. So it's it'd be a separate charge. It'd be a lynching charge and a murder charge.
So you could go to state court for the first degree murder charge, and then go to lynching. Go to federal court for the lynching charge, or federal jail rather. Sorry.
I don't see anything about it switching. Okay. I'm looking. But that
that would be the only reason.
I guess that's not terrible.
Votes would make sense.
Right now that it's pandering and stuff, there's an argument that could be made there.
It and this is terrible, but when was the last lynching? I there's so many other things that could be done if they really want to help the Black community. There's so many other things that could be done than making a law for lynching. That just seems.
Yep.
Yeah, let's talk about inflation, affordable housing,
gas prices.
I mean, for real.
And that's an exploration that we've kind of had a conversation in the Hispanic community. Is a lot of people, and I spoke about it last time I was on the podcast, but even just a week ago, somebody well-intentioned, these people genuinely want to learn how to reach out to the Latino community, and so they come up to me and they're like, well, how do you reach out? How can we connect? And I'm like, well, you need to stop looking for Latino issues or Hispanic issues.
Yeah.
You want a seat at the table. We're part of your community, and the struggles that you're going through, we're going through as well.
Mm-hmm.
The pinch at the pump. We feel what it's like not to have enough to feed your family. We know what it's like to have economic uncertainty and then some, right? So when we talk about these issues, let's include them in the conversation, and that's attract people into your movement.
Exactly. And I mean, once again, this is not a bad thing. I don't think anyone should have voted against it. I think that's silly, but it feels so useless. I don't know. It just feels so, it's just frustrating that that's just a frustration in general. Whenever people are thinking of Black political issues, they always also talk about prison, and it's not all Black people have been to prison. I went once to tour.
The percentage, of what percentage of the African American community post-prison. I would imagine
it's a disproportionate amount. Yeah. I did a capstone
project. Well, I guess compared to other people, but of the community, is it 1% or 10%?
It's about
in the prison.
No, not in the prison, but
what she's at,
or of the community.
The total African American community is likely to go to prison. It's about a 40% chance.
But that's a chance. It's
a stark. I think.
Yeah, it's
okay.
Yeah, it's
okay. I mean, pardon my
it is disproportionate.
Okay.
And but there's many reasons as to why that may be. You talk about the left will tell you it's systematic racism. There's also stuff about economic output. Let's talk about the fragmentation of family. Also the African American community, and then followed by the Hispanic community. Actually, are the ones a child has a higher likelihood of living in a fragmented household. Yeah. What effect does that have? And so there's studies being made about all of that stuff, and it's something that should continue to be researched rather than taking it off as just systematic racism. Let's figure out what's going on in these communities and how we can help ourselves heal from it, and then move forward into a brighter and better generation. But
it's very interesting how all that stuff is broken up. I read a statistic, I don't remember from where, but it was saying that yes, there are more African Americans in jail, more Black people for men. It was there were more Black men in jail, but they were in jail for drugs. Whereas when white men are going to jail, it's for murder.
Mm-hmm.
So it's there's less of them, but it's for higher risk or higher crimes. So it's very interesting, the breakup of it. But I don't know. That's just a pet peeve of mine. That's just kind of
whole podcast. That again. I spent an entire semester studying it as a research project. It was a whole thing on the war on drugs. And it was intense. It was eye-opening. But you're absolutely right with the statistics and everything. And so you find ways to address that, and it's difficult. But there's a lot of studies that are being made and saying, okay, we're not just going to accept systematic racism and take it as it is. How do we address it? How do we stop this from happening? How do we save lives and avoid the school to prison pipeline and give opportunities to people that haven't been giving opportunities in the past? That's what the role of government should be, right? It's conservative government should be efficient government. It should do what it's supposed to do, right? So
we'll schedule you for that because it's interesting.
Yeah, no, seriously. I forgot what I was gonna say. Don't remember what I was gonna say. But our last story, we gotta transition to the next and final thing. Our last story is brought to you by Culture of Life 1972. Use our code THOSEOTHERGIRLS1972 to get 10% off. You guys know about it. 100% goes to pro-life issues, and here we go.
Our final story is from the Daily Wire, and so I'm taking business law right now, and in my book we were reading about property law rights. I think we might need to be saying where we're getting our stories from. I just remembered that because we're reading directly from this, we might need to say where we're getting our stories from. All right, so this story is from the Daily Wire. Not at all secret gay agenda. Disney employees break down adding queerness to children's show degeneralizing theme parks. On Tuesday night, Chris Rufo released several videos from a recent all-hands Disney staff meeting to discuss the Florida Parental Rights and Education Bill, aka the incorrectly termed Don't Say Gay bill, as well as Disney's efforts to push radical gender ideology and other progressive ideas on sexuality. According to the footage obtained by Rufo, one executive producer said that she was easily able to implement her not at all secret gay agenda on one show, while another Disney manager discussed the company's move to drop gendered greetings from live spiels and other aspects of the park. What show is he referring to?
That they added the gay, probably Proud Family. The Proud Family has the latest show has like a very gay character. Like it's like purpose, like it's like part of the show.
Okay.
The rebuilding of it. I'm guessing that's what he's referring to. I'm sure there could be other things too. And then that's so sad they're taking away ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. That's
fun. What they're referring to?
Mm-hmm.
They're taking away ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, they're rewording to be more inclusive, they say.
I think I saw something too that they were saying like what they're gonna like want 50% of the cast to be LGBTQ and minorities.
So really quick, my 2 cents. It's probably more like 40 cents, but it's probably more like 40 cents. But I think that it's really sad. I don't have kids, so a lot of my friends that I'm friends with on Instagram and friends with on real life, they do have kids.
I don't have an opinion on this right now because
I feel like
and also like the whole Turning Red movie fiasco. And I haven't seen it, but my understanding is just a girl going through puberty. So like a lot of like the all up in arms thing, I'm like, it's not meant for your 5-year-old. It's meant for your middle schooler, 13-year-old to talk to them about puberty and like the changes. Granted, I have not seen it. But based on like reviews and what like I've seen from like the Christian blogs, it's like a lot of it's just like talking about puberty.
I saw the last like I don't know, maybe 20 minutes. I actually cried. There's like
excellent. Like adults are really enjoying it, but it's just like I just don't think it's for your little like 5-year-old. Like I think it's something you show in middle school.
And also too, like I am not like my mom saw the trailer and she was like, "Oh, I wouldn't have had you guys watching that." Cool, she's a mom, so like I don't have this strong like we gotta protect because also too I don't even know if I'm gonna have kids, so I just don't have this like strong like okay I have to protect my kids type feel about it. But what I do have a strong opinion on is I love that you don't like something so you're trying to make something better. I respect that. I love that. Good for Daily Wire. And I saw the little so like okay. So this thing happened. I kept seeing people talk about it. And like I said, like I just don't have the strong like Disney because I don't have kids. So it's not like it matters that much to me right now, at least. But everyone was sharing about it. So then I saw a clip of Jeremy Boring talking about like his razors or something. And I was like, what the heck is he talking about? So my friend sent me the commercial for it. And I was like, okay, not my type of like, not my vibe. Like I would never like. I'm super. You should look it up. It's Jeremy Boring's razors. I think if you just go to Daily Wire, just scroll a little bit, there is the greatest commercial ever. It's been out for like 8 days. It already has I think like 12 million views. You should watch it. Like it's a new razor company, and the name of the website I think is called I Hate Harry's. Long story short, Harry's razors used to sponsor them, but then someone on one of the shows said something about men and women are not the same, so then they pulled their sponsorship. So he's like, you know what, I'll make my own razor company. So the name of the company I think is Jerry Boring, but the website is IHateHarrys.com, which I think is hilarious. But that kind of has like, and then I looked and they did like a State of the Union type thing for their company, which I love, and I think we should start implementing things like that. But they teamed up with the guys who created VeggieTales and the Babylon Bee to make a kids show. Once again, don't have kids, so I don't feel like super strongly about it. But I will say, I told this joke to my friend earlier. I'm really glad that everybody's like stepping up and working things out now. So like when I do have kids, if I have kids, like it won't be in this like weird limbo where I'm like trying to figure out what to do. So we'll already have these good shows and it's like, oh, okay, good. So I don't have to stress like you guys are stressing right now. God's timing. But no, seriously, I love that. I love that they're like, I don't like this. I hate it. So I'm going to do something better and different. I'm going to watch that new and I'm going to do a review of the new superhero movie. Y'all know I love superhero stuff. I will say I didn't like their introduction because they made it seem like Batman was terrible. It's called Hyperion. They wrote it, and it's the black guy in it is like somebody who I've seen him in other things. Like I think he's like not famous. Like he's probably like a C-list celebrity, but like I've seen him other things. Okay. Hyperion, and it actually looks well done. It does not look like a Pure Flix movie. And I have
Pure Flix. You did not.
No, it's not. It's not on Pure Flix.
What is it on?
It's not on Pure Flix. It's on Daily Wire.
Oh! I'm following now.
So I'll probably use someone's code, but it actually it looks like it's not a Pure Flix movie. Like I don't know if you've ever like watched any of that stuff. Sometimes you can see the boom mic, the shadows are off.
Yeah.
It's just terrible. Like we got to do better. And I've said this on the podcast before, and I'll keep saying it. We've got to do better. And I think that Daily Wire might be doing that. I like that they're doing the razor thing. I would love for them to have female razors, eventually, possibly, but they are kind of catered to more men. But those are the girls. Just like to wrap it up. Well, actually, Vic, say what you're going to say, and then I'll say my wrap up thing. What are you thinking? And you too, Juan.
Oh, I mean, I don't know enough, and I feel like, well, you have little sisters.
Look, I'm torn about this, and I may have just extended your podcast by another 5-10 minutes, so I apologize to the listeners. Hopefully you have...
No, I'm just joking. I don't care. All you gotta do is stop and start. Stop and start.
Here's the thing. I tend to disagree with creating an entire alternative conservative universe, because we and this is a tough conversation that we've had to have had as a church, because we have our own music, our own media, our own movies, our own this, our own that. Typically, like you said, it's crappy. It sucks. Secondly, we talk about how the world has gone towards one side and stuff that would have been unthinkable, in movies and in music videos and in music and in pop culture. Well, because we don't have any representation of our folks and our values. When we concede ground, we have no right, and we have no right to tell the other people what we say. Oh, these Hollywood elitists are out of touch. Of course they're out of touch, because we've scared any Christian or any conservative from getting into media. Don't go into journalism. That's the fake news. Don't go into movies. That's Harvey Weinstein territory. You should be advocating for more Christian artists and more Christian actors and theatrics, but to go into and take back the media, take back what was ours to begin with, right? Rather than create an alternative universe where you're kind of sheltered and you're only going to get, critical thinking is look, yes, we're going to get our views and our values challenged, but that should make our argument stronger, right? We should have the conviction and the confidence within ourselves to go out there and say, I stand for truth. I stand for the values that not only founded this country, or is one going to keep this country blessed, prosperous, and going, rather than just blocking ourselves off. Now, do I appreciate the effort? Sure. Is it a nice dab? Fine. But I think it's sort of regressive to what we're trying to do, which, if we want to take back our country like we say we want to, we don't do that by creating our own outlets or creating our own little escape hatches and echo chambers. We do that by taking back our country, which is why I'm so proud. For a long time, the conservative movement talked about homeschooling and charter schools and this, that, and the other, which I have no problem with. Fantastic. But that's why we neglected public schools. All of a sudden, we realized that, look, we became the workers' party, right? We became the working class party. My family can't afford to send me to a private school. And most of other people, and they saw what was going on in public schools, and they said, we need to take this back. And that's why I stand with mothers and activists all across the state that are going to their school boards and saying, this is not happening. And that's the way it should be. That we're advocating for the existing systems there. But that's my rant on that. Sorry.
So push back.
Yeah.
Don't fight, because I know how you like to tussle. wait. Sorry. Okay, you've seen that. Oh, wait, sorry. You've seen, you know what I'm referencing, that reel, right? You know, I'm not just making stuff up on Instagram.
Sure.
The tussle thing. Okay. Well, anyway, our audience did. Okay, so to push back on that, so what do we do if they don't let us in?
That's what I was wondering, too. It's like
how can we sit at the table if they...
They're not giving us a platform. They're not giving us a voice.
Yeah.
Like, what do we do? Like, I get what you're saying. And, like, look, I 100% believe, like, we shouldn't be running away and creating that echo chamber. But what do we do if we're not welcome? Like, we're getting censored in social media. We're getting censored in the media. Like, what?
I know someone who was kicked out of her theater group.
You create a war. I mean... Do you think these ladies have ever been accepted into their school board meetings? Absolutely not. They're getting dragged out. They're getting kicked out. But you know what? They persist. They get kicked out of this week's school board meeting. Guess what? They're back the next day. That's what it means to have perseverance. It is the long-term game and the long-term view. Do you have to overwhelm them?
I disagree.
Keep going.
Keep going.
It's hard work. Mm-hmm. But if look, and I'm not talking about an investment or a tangible change that you're going to see next week in media or next year. But you need to equip journalists that have integrity, actors, directors, and executives that have integrity and values, and that's how you're going to heal this country.
But I don't think you're under like.
What do you?
They're not getting a seat at the table. Like, I mean, they're literally pushing people off of the table. How can you can fight to get on the table? So then, and all they're doing is pushing people away from the table, and then they're continuing to build and build and build. So then all it's doing is pushing everybody back, and they're spending too much time fighting. We don't even have anyone like fighting what's being built. That's why I think, sure, there should be people who are trying to still go in, sure. Not against that, but I think we should be working to build other things, because if we're not getting the seat at the table, what are we supposed to do, twiddle our thumbs?
I think that I've always said that in order to beat the game, you have to play the game. And we talk about it a lot in politics. And look, we're a group of outsiders, right? And we understand that there is an elite. And the elite doesn't want us in. I've never been welcomed by the elite, right?
Yeah.
But I'm here. I go to work every single day and advocate and fight for a more decent, open politics in this state and in our country. As do you guys with this podcast, as Sebastian has running for office and stuff. That's what you do. Donald Trump did that.
But
and
see,
so you know, I get what you're saying, and I understand that is frustrating. You're not going to get these people out today. You're not going to get these people out tomorrow. But at the end of the day, it's the fighters who stick around and stick it out are the ones that are going to be able to be the decision makers tomorrow. All I'm saying is that we need to start looking at the long-term view rather than creating these echo chambers or alternative media and saying, okay, problem fixed. You know what? They don't accept us. We're just going to create our own thing. Fantastic. There's a place for that. But I think that we have to stop ceding ground of the things that we have now and the institutions that we have not been welcome part and say, I'm here. And when you create the shows, when you create the music, the programming and the pop culture that is open and that is positive and that is encouraging, and you see the overwhelming success that it has, they're just going to have to buy into it.
I agree, but I would say we're kind of sort of saying the same thing now, because I would say Trump created something different. I would say that we're creating something different. Even though we're trying to be in the same thing, I would still say we've created something different. Like, anti-establishment is this whole new thing now. Like, that's a club in and of itself, you know? So, like, I see what you're saying, and I think you're making good points, because I do think, like, I don't, like, that whole meme where it's like, oh, we're going to have to, conservatives learn how to hunt and fish. We're going to live in, I'm not about that. I'm not going to hunt and fish. I'm not going to live in the country. I'm not ceding.
Well, I'll end with this. If you have a mentality of an outsider, you're always going to be an outsider.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Well, Juan might not like this, but those are the girls. We're doing our own thing over here. We're going to be... we have a lot of... Okay, go ahead.
I will say, like, I get what Juan's saying, but the difference is, like, we're trying to create this group of people to kind of implement into the world, like puzzle pieces into the world. Like, we're not just gonna be like, okay, our people, like our group of people, we're just gonna keep for ourselves. Like, we're trying to push them and integrate them into society.
Exactly, you're a fresh voice that people need to hear.
Yes, and we're going to be okay. Well, then, yeah. All right. So we're on the same page now. We're going to be adding new shows and new people and just other things on the YouTube channel and stuff like that coming up. And I just want you guys to remember, and this is like a plug, I guess, also too, for like to help us. This is a thing that like we're trying to change culture, and I mean, adding to what Juan says, like, you know what, we have to fight. You know what, I think here's a good analogy that I'm thinking of now that you said. Instead of creating our own like Apple, we're on Apple type thing. So that's what we're trying to do. We want more of that in a lot of different genres and different things. So those are the girls. We are expanding. We are going to be doing more. And like our goal is to change culture. Our goal is to be a voice for other girls, because it's not just us out here, and everyone listening, like you can be a part of that. Head over to our merch store, and then our if you want to donate, like it would just really be beneficial, because a lot of the things that we have that we want to do, we're going to be at YW. Well, I'm going to be at YWLS as well. That's official. I got my ticket and everything. I will be at YWLS, and we have some other really cool things. We just finished an interview with someone who we're going to do a cool thing live, well, like in person type stuff. And I have so many ideas, but all of this is kind of it's going to cost money. So it would really help if you guys could donate, or if you are also too, if you have ideas of anything that you want and you want those other girls to help lift you up, if you have a business, if you have a podcast idea, if you have a movie idea, a documentary idea, if you have a cookbook idea, anything, literally, reach out to us. Seriously, we want to help you. We want to push these things. Yes, we want to push these things out there in the world, and I think this is something that is needed. That's it. Make sure you rate, review, like, subscribe. This is gone, probably our longest episode, but whatever. We talked. I think we said some really good stuff. Okay, so we've said some really good things, and I really hope you enjoyed this. Thank you so much, Juan, for coming on and giving your opinion on so many different topics, talking about everything.
Everything today. This is cool. Yeah,
we did. We hit a lot. Vic, is there anything else you want to add?
That's all I got.
Alrighty, everybody, make sure you rate, review, subscribe, send to your friends, and I guess that's it. Bye.